When it comes to professional wrestling, there is perhaps nothing more gratifying to BC Amplified than to watch somebody who I know has busted their ass from day one. Time after time, match after match, through injuries, through creative blunders, through management telling them they have nothing for them right now. Or, you're really good, it's just not your time, kid. These are things that professional wrestlers will hear many times throughout their careers. Some might give up, some might half-ass it. But a select few, they will actually persevere. They will put their heads down, and they will battle forward, kicking ass, even more so along the way. For those individuals, their hope, what they can see at the finish line, is them in the middle of the ring, and the referee rewarding them a heavyweight championship. That's their big goal. It is a dream that they can't shake, no matter how many injuries, no matter how many people with suits and ties tell them it's not their time. They keep battling because they can't shake that dream out of their dome piece. They yearn for it. When they chose to be a professional wrestler, it was for that moment. Sadly, unfortunately, for most of these pro wrestlers, that'll never happen. No matter how hard they work, no matter the effort they put in, no matter how many asses they kiss, the sad truth is, for most of these pro wrestlers, they will never have that moment where they're in the middle of the ring and the referee is rewarding them that main gold championship. So when it does happen, it's something special for somebody like BC Amplified. Because for me, pro wrestling is more than just the larger-than-life characters and the over-the-top, zany, wild, ludicrous stories that we watch, which we love. But it's more than that. It's the journey of the individual. And if you followed Io Shirai before she even got to NXT and all that she did over in Japan, it was hard not to be a fan of hers. It was hard not to root for her. It was hard not to watch all of this hard work and perseverance go to waste. To watch Io not get that defining moment. So last night when Io Shirai was in the middle of that ring and she was presented that championship, you're damn right, the Amplified man was all up in his feels. Because I remembered instantly the journey that Io took to get to that point in time, and that is why I love professional wrestling. One of the main reasons is the culmination of a wild, lengthy journey. It's those moments where professional wrestling fulfills and checks off all the boxes that I need in my entertainment. The wild ride that somebody might get in a soap opera or an hour-long drama on TNT or HBO. For me, I get that in pro wrestling. The characters, the storylines, but the culmination of a long, hard-fought battle, journey. Io Shirai had her moment last night. The streamers, the confetti, the party afterwards, that's all icing on the cake. Her in the middle of the ring, with that title held high, in tears. Man, if that doesn't get you up in your feels. Those moments, that's when professional wrestling jumps off the screen for yours truly. Congratulations to Io Shirai. You look at Rhea Ripley, because there was a lot of things we were thinking in that moment. Rhea Ripley's pretty much done, right? You have to believe that. I'm not one of those individuals that likes to say when something bad happens to someone, they're buried. No, I hate that guy. I will never be that guy. But I will absolutely be the guy that tells you they're damaged. And when Rhea Ripley got beat at WrestleMania by Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley was heavily damaged. The loss last night further cements that. Is she actually buried now? I wouldn't say that. I would say she may be damaged beyond repair. I don't know how they regroup, repackage Rhea Ripley. Charlotte Flair, it's safe to say she's gone from NXT now. That's the right fucking decision. She should have never been there. Rhea's done. Charlotte's gone. Io Shirai is your champion. And no offense to Rhea, but that's the right call. There's no way Rhea should be holding a championship right now, and you're going to honestly tell me that she's better than Io Shirai. Absolutely not. I don't like to say somebody deserves something in pro wrestling because everybody says that about all of their favorite superstars. No, I hate saying that word, deserves. But I'm going to use it now. Io Shirai deserved that championship victory last night, and damn it, she got it. What happens next with Rhea? What happens next with Charlotte Flair? We'll see. Charlotte Flair has a match tonight on Raw against Asuka, of all people. So I wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte is winning the Raw Championship within the next month's time. Maybe she wins tonight and she ends up being victorious at Backlash. Which, by the way, I'm hearing was filmed 2 days ago. That's right, Backlash, I believe, was filmed before Monday Night Raw's Go-Home show tonight. Go figure. So, for all we know, Charlotte could already be champion. No, Asuka takes on Nia Jax, that's right. Asuka, Nia Jax is Backlash. But who knows? Knowing Vince, he'll have Charlotte somehow take on Asuka too at Backlash. Who knows, man? But where Charlotte goes from here, I don't know, but trust me, if you think Charlotte's not going to be holding gold within the next month, you don't know Vince McMahon. She will be holding a championship, so don't worry. If you're going to have a question mark, put it on Rhea Ripley. But Io Shirai, man, what a fucking moment. We'll go over that a little bit more when we actually get to the main event, because that was the main event. Did you think it would be anything else? If it has Charlotte Flair in it, you damn well better bet it's going to be the main event. So what do you say we talk about this event, guys? NXT in your house. And by the way, as you could tell, this is pre-coffee, so you're getting a nice calm BC for this review, all right? So for anyone out there saying I've been too amplified lately, we're worried about you, BC. What's in those drinks? Don't worry, it's pre-coffee. However, when this is over, that's going to be a different story. We're going to be double fisting some shit for sure. But for this one, man, NXT, when I heard that they were bringing back In Your House, I had great concerns because you're talking about a big part of my, and I'm sure many of your childhoods. When you're talking the mid to maybe late 90s, and In Your House was a fresh new concept, and it had a different feel. It was cool, man. And you had that original setup with the whole house. It was different. And when you hear that WWE is bringing something back, usually it's just not in a good way. It's the nicest way to put it, man. I remember like when they brought back ECW and it was just a shell of what it once was, and so many other things that WWE tries to bring back, and it's just an epic flop. And I thought this was going to just fall in line. They're going to take something I grew up with and they're just going to fucking ruin it, and it's going to leave a bad taste in my mouth. But no, they hit it out of the park last night. This ball was hit for a grand slam, and that ball ain't ever coming back because you ain't going to find it. They did awesome. This set last night was the house. It had the front door, the garage where superstars come out of. In fact, I think this house looked better than the ones previous. It may have been the same exact set, I don't know, but this thing looked fucking awesome. Maybe it was the lighting. Maybe they got a new front door. Who knows? But this was an awesome set, guys. And throughout the event, they had these little nuggets. They were minor details to most, but major to the Amplified, man. And there was these little things that added to the nostalgic feel, old school In Your House. I'll talk about them in this review. Many of you guys may not have even thought of it or coincided one with the other. But no, it was absolutely an homage to the original In Your Houses. So those are a couple of nuggets. One of them was right from the jump of the show with the opening signature. And you know how they do the then, now, forever? Well, back then it was totally different. And it was for over 50 years, the World Wrestling Federation. It was awesome. They did it in an NXT version. But I was just like, that just set an awesome tone for the rest of the night, because you hear that, you see the set, and it brings you back, man. The nostalgia kicks in. If you're an older fan like yours truly, which, by the way, I'm not old. I just said older fan. All right, I'm just saying. But no, if you are an older fan like yours truly, it was just right from the jump. It just felt like In Your House. It was so fucking awesome. And of course, Todd Pettengill, and he was doing the opening sequence. Oh man, it was like, this is awesome. This is really fucking awesome. And you look at the lineup, the card, the matches you knew were going to deliver. So there was no way they would have to do something really drastically bad to make this an awful event. But let's go over it. Let's see what they did, man. The first match of the night was a 6-women tag schmaz match. This starts us off. Now, that's a big responsibility when you start the show, right? The main event is the biggest responsibility. In the runner-up is the first match of the night. That is a huge responsibility, and they gave it to these 6 women. This is Shotzi Blackheart, who drove her mini tank out of the garage, which I thought was just, come on, bro. That was awesome. And she's bobbing and weaving like she's on a highway trying to dodge cars. Shotzi just fucking was awesome to start this thing off. Mini tank comes out of the garage. You can't make this thing up. And she's with Mia Yim and Tegan Nox. And they take on Candice LeRae, Raquel Gonzalez, and my gal, Dakota Kai. You guys know I usually can't stand multi-person schmaz matches. But this one was fun. It got a bit sloppy towards the end, but that's only because they were feeling it. You could tell that they were just going all out, and they knew that they were nailing it. They knew that they were just clicking on all cylinders. There was great chemistry with everyone. So I think everyone started to go a little bit more. They put it into another octane toward the finish, and that's when it started to get a little bit sloppy. But no harm, no foul, man. This was a pretty good 6-woman tag match, actually. The shiniest wizard of them all by Nox to longtime friend turned enemy Dakota Kai allows Nox, Yim, and Shotzi to reign supreme in this one. So they actually went with the Nox pinning Dakota finish. I thought that was tricky. I didn't know if they wanted to touch that right now or if they wanted Dakota to eat that loss. They went with it. And I just think that's tricky because, I mean, what does that mean? Is that the finish now between Dakota and Tegan? Or are we going to continue this? You know, maybe they just wanted to protect Raquel Gonzalez, which you think? I mean, that's what you should have been doing all along. You had her just a few weeks, maybe a month after she debuted, already losing on weekly NXT television. I mean, it's mind-boggling to me. So now all of a sudden they want to protect her. Whatever. At least they are. And of course, Candice LeRae, she's in the middle of a pretty decent push right now, especially working side by side with her husband Johnny Wrestling. So I guess they thought Dakota was the safest option. That kind of sucks. Yeah, I mean, you guys know I think the world of Dakota Kai. I think there's such a bright future ahead for her. For her to be the fall gal here, whatever, man. I mean, I know I'm nitpicking here because, again, this was for a schmaz match. This was actually a fun way to kick off the show. Nothing over-the-top spectacular, but a damn good way to kick the show off. And each lady held their own, so mad props to all 6 of those individuals. We went into an awesome old-school promotional consideration paid for by the following package. For those of you that don't know what that is, man, back in the day, like around when In Your House was around, actually way before that, man. They used to do these in the 80s as well. There was a gentleman, Lord Alfred Hayes. He was actually a wrestler turned broadcaster. A lot of people my age only know him as a broadcaster or announcer, commentator. But he was actually a wrestler as well. And Lord Alfred Hayes, man, he had such a distinctive voice. And in between matches back in the day to showcase their sponsors and have an advertisement, Alfred Hayes would come up and say, the following promotional consideration paid for by the following. He was awesome, man. And then you went into an ad. It was just something that simplistic. We remember in our childhood, man, and we remember from these shows. And they made it so authentic last night for In Your House because they actually had promos like that. They're not promos, promotional consideration paid for by the following. And it wasn't Lord Alfred Hayes, nothing like him, but it was along those lines. And they wanted you to kind of think of that. So for me, I did, man. This one was for WWE ice cream bars. But I love how they put thought into it, you know, like how can we truly make this nostalgic for everybody? And it was just, the whole event felt like a throwback. And when you're trying to do something from the old school and you're trying to get that reaction, I think if you truly make it a throwback, people will feel that way. So just a little thing like that, the old school Lord Alfred Hayes promotional consideration paid for by the... I just loved it, man. I truly did. And again, more people around my age, maybe older, you know what I'm talking about. Kids are like, what the fuck? It was just an advertisement. But it meant so much more to the Amplified, man. Up next, match number 2 spot was a grudge match. This was Damien Priest versus Finn Balor. This match was exactly that. It was a grudge match. I mean, you truly felt in the story that they were telling that they just didn't like one another. And easily the biggest match of Damien Priest's young career. Going face-to-face with Finn Balor at an NXT, I mean, it's a takeover. We're calling it In Your House, but it's their big event. And you're staring across Finn Balor. I mean, this is a guy, Damien Priest, who we knew he had the talent, but when NXT's talent pool was so deep, Damien Priest was near the bottom of the list. He just was. And that's sad because he's got so much talent, I understand, but he just was not on anybody's top 5 or top 10. That's how deep the talent pool was and still is today. So it's so cool to see Damien Priest getting his chance to show everyone why he should have never been off of somebody's top 5 or top 10. Biggest match of his career to date, easily. And it was almost his last, man. There was a scary bump, nasty bump that Priest took late in this thing when he was about to deliver a razor's edge to Balor onto steps on the outside. So he's up on the apron, and he's about to deliver a razor's edge to Balor onto steps below. And instead, Balor counters it, and he ends up knocking Priest off of the apron, and Priest goes back first into the steel steps. And it was not positioned correctly, and the middle of his back landed on the side of the steps, man. It looked nasty. I had to look away for a second when the referee went to check on him because I didn't want to know the result, man. And when I looked back, I was just hoping that he was still moving. He was crawling around the floor, but at least the referee was continuing his shtick. So that's when I knew he was okay, or at least we think. We could hear the injury report later on. Today and this evening saying that Priest is injured. I wouldn't be shocked. Speaking of injuries, by the way, guys, this has nothing to do with NXT, but Elias has like a torn pec or something. It's a real injury. It's not just storyline from the hit and run with Jeff Hardy and Sheamus last week on SmackDown. Elias is out of action for up to 6 months, we're hearing. This is a real injury, so I'll keep you up to date on that as well. But back to this, man. Damien Priest, I thought he was injured with that nasty bump. And not too long after that, Balor hits the coup de grace, 1, 2, 3 for the W. And this match came in at just under 15 minutes. So it looks like that was supposed to be the finish. If Damien Priest was a little banged up, and they said, let's just go to the finish, I wouldn't be shocked at that as well. But it came in at just under 15 minutes, that finish. That seems like the amount of time that they would give Balor and Priest. So I believe truthfully that, or at least just my own belief, I can't say truthfully, I mean, I believe that was the planned finish. But it did come right after that nasty bump. But I liked it here, man. That was the biggest match of Priest's career thus far, and he's got a bright future ahead, so there'll be many of these type of matches, hopefully. But I don't see him, I mean, no way should he be beating somebody like Balor, because we can't start looking at Finn Balor as somebody who's passé, somebody who's been around the block, and now his time is over. No, if he went to NXT, he's got to be somebody that's bringing up talent like he just did with Damien, and the hope is that there's a little bit of a victory in defeat. And I think Damien Priest got that last night, but no way should Finn Balor be losing at NXT in your house to Damien Priest. No way, man. What the fuck? I mean, then you could pretty much say the same thing about Rhea Ripley that we're saying to Finn Balor. He's done. I mean, where the fuck do you go from a loss to Damien Priest at NXT in your house? So I know there's some people that kind of had a problem with that. Oh, Finn should have done the job to Damien. No way, man. Damien had a lot of benefits last night. Trust me. This is a dude that not a lot of people gave a second look to. And after last night, a lot of casuals are even like, hey, Damien Priest, got to see more out of him. Match number 3 spot, North American title match. Gargano, the challenger, taking on Keith Lee, the champion. This one was given over 20 minutes, and it lived up to the billing, man. 3 matches in, and easily this was the match of the night thus far. And I loved this one spotted here where Gargano is up at the door at the set. You know, it's a whole house. The set is a house, and there's a front door, and he's trying to get through it, but it's locked. So you see the doorbell cam. You guys see these new things on the doorbell. It's actually a camera. So if somebody rings your doorbell, you can actually see who it is. So there's a doorbell camera, and you see Gargano frantically trying to get through the front door, and you see behind him Keith Lee walking up like a true legit beast. And Gargano gets more like frantic and more scared, and Keith Lee just gets him, turns him around, and tosses him into the front lawn. I mean, just hearing the words come out of my mouth, man, it would sound outrageous if you did not catch this event. Even if you did catch the event, it sounds outrageous, because it was, and I loved it. This dude's trying to get through the front door. He gets tossed on the lawn, the front lawn, because it was actually a lawn. I just can't tell you, man. I mean, it's these little things, right? And this is what I mean about thought being put into a match, right? Use a little bit of creativity. Have fun with it, man. It's professional wrestling. The only way your audience can have fun is if you're having fun. So I love that spot, man. Lee's strength was on full display here. Can I just say that? Throughout this whole 20-minute match, Keith Lee showed you how strong he was. I mean, at one point, he was literally bicep curling Johnny Gargano. A human being. I don't care how small Johnny is. He was bicep curling a human being. Multiple times. Unfucking real. I loved when Lee catapulted Gargano through one of the plexiglass panels. It was one of those spots where Johnny Gargano was coming around the ringside, one side of the ring, and then Keith Lee was running full throttle on the other side, kind of like what Braun Strowman always does, and he shoulder checks Gargano through one of the plexiglass panels, man. Gargano was catapulted like one of those t-shirt guns. He was the t-shirt. Keith Lee was the gun. So I love that as well, man. And then there was a spot where Gargano, this was toward the end, where Gargano rigged the eyes of Lee with the front door key. It was in his trunks. And he just rigs the eye of Keith Lee. I thought for sure at that point we were moments away from a new champion, but they decided to go the other way. Before I get to that, also Shirai and Yim, who were others of Lee and Gargano. For those of you that don't know, you've been living underneath the rock. Keith Lee and Mia Yim are a real-life couple, as are Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano. A lot of people didn't want to see them involved. Just keep it between Gargano and Lee. You don't like the significant others, being involved with one another. I hear you, but in all honesty, there was no harm, no foul done here. They were not a big part of the deciding factor in the finish at all. They were out there for maybe 15 seconds, like as a focal point. So I actually didn't mind LeRae and Yim out there at all. What I did mind, the only negative I had in this match, guys, was that I counted several times that a count out should have decided the match. Now, obviously, they needed more time on the outside to do their spots, but then you have to get more creative. You know, once I'll let it slide, twice you're pushing it. When I see 3 times that the referee should have counted both men out, there's only so much suspending my disbelief that I can do as a fan. You know, I love common sense and logic. I'll suspend reality or my disbelief, but what I need you to do is meet me halfway, right? I mean, there was at least 3 times in this match where the referee, I counted personally over 20, and the referee is stuck on 6. Come on, man. I mean, you have to make it somewhat believable. So that's what I didn't like. There was a bunch of times where it was clear it was a count out. Would that have been fun? No. Do I know why the referee was holding his count? Of course. They're setting up their spots, man. But then you got to think more in depth. You can't just have 2 guys out there for fucking a minute, 2 minutes, and the referee is on the count of 6. I mean, come on, man. But that was the only thing I didn't like, honestly. Other than that, it delivered, and I knew it would. A couple of spirit bombs, followed by the Big Bang Theory, and Keith Lee defeats Johnny Wrestling, subsequently retaining his North American Championship. There was no wrong decision here. If Gargano won that match, great for him. Obviously, he deserves it. But I just don't see how Keith Lee's whole reign was just to hand that belt over to Gargano. I wouldn't have understood it, but I wouldn't have minded Johnny Wrestling getting the championship. For me, the right decision, if I was to say there was a right or wrong, for me, it would be keep the belt on Keith Lee. Why not? Unless he was getting called up to the main roster, or some people call it called down to the main roster. There's promoted and then there's demoted, right? But that would be the only way that Keith Lee would drop a title. I mean, you're trying to build him up as a legit beast, right? A legit monster. Well, then a legit beast, a legit monster can beat Johnny Wrestling. So yeah, the Spirit Bombs and then the Big Bang Theory. I thought that was a good finish. It was clear that they really wanted to showcase the strength of Keith Lee last night. And that was showcased, man, throughout the match. And then with that finish, it was a pretty dominating finish for Keith Lee. So pretty damn good match number 3. In fact, up to that point, again, that's match of the night. The match in the 4th spot of the night was the Backlot Brawl match for the NXT title. This was champion Adam Cole, baby, who drove up in a pickup truck, by the way, with a ton of steel chairs in the back. And then there was the Velveteen Dream, who drove up in a bright-ass Bumblebee Lamborghini. So, yeah, they if you didn't watch it, you're like, what the fuck? Pickup trucks and Lamborghinis? What? This was taped over a week ago, guys, outdoors. All of the developmental talent were told to get in their cars, park around ringside, and put on their headlights. So all of developmental was, had their cars, their personal cars, and they put their headlights on. And, they were told to shout out of their driver's side windows. Some cars even had, other talent in the passenger side. And you're just supposed to, hey, for the next, 15, 20 minutes, just scream, hoot, and holler, and have your headlights on. What they didn't expect to happen was a big storm to roll in. And because of these giant storms, the filming that was supposed to be around 7 p.m. that night didn't take place until after midnight. So all of this poor developmental talent is stuck in their cars the entire night. They tried to get this thing kick-started several times. Their headlights were on. They started yelling. Production said no, it just didn't come across good on camera, so they had to redo it. And again, after midnight, finally, they got this thing filmed. So that had to have sucked for Cole and Velveteen Dream. But just picture all of the developmental talent. Like, they're just trying to become a professional wrestler. And for weeks now, they're behind plexiglass, shouting for hours upon hours for tapings. Then they have to get in their personal cars, use up their fucking batteries by putting their lights on, scream some more all night, and then at about 2 a.m. told you can go home now. I feel so bad for everyone involved, man. The finished product looked good, man. Cole and Velveteen Dream, it was, This was good. It was a half match, half fight type of a situation. Roddy Strong and Fish were involved, but Dexter Lumis, who came out from underneath... No, right. Didn't he pull up? I'm so used to him coming underneath the ring. Maybe he came from underneath the ring. That's what happened. Fish and Roddy Strong drove up. Lumis came from underneath the ring to take care of Fish and Roddy Strong. Then Dexter Lumis put them both in a trunk and he drove away. Where did Fish and Strong go to? I wanted to find out more in that storyline. Maybe we will this upcoming Wednesday, man. But I want to know what the hell Lumis did with them, man. He put them in a trunk and he just drove away. Dexter Lumis is not playing with a full deck. The lights are on, but nobody's home. I love Dexter Lumis. His character, his theme music, everything about him reminds me of one of my favorite TV shows over on Netflix called Stranger Things. I love Dexter Lumis. So all of that interference late I thought was a nice added touch. But they didn't even need it. I mean, this was just they were going to war, man. There was one time where Adam Cole was up on a ladder. Velveteen Dream knocked him off of it. And Adam Cole went back first, head first, into a windshield of a car. He was bleeding on his arm and everything. Who knows on the back of his dome piece. But this was a legit badass spot. I'm hoping that was filmed once. Let the stunt guy show you how it should be done, exactly where you should hit. And then Adam Cole should be a one-take Tom. Hopefully. If he had to do that spot 10 times, man. Fuck that. What else happened in this, man? Dreams, the finish of this one, man. Dream getting Panama Sunrise through 1,000,000 chairs. I might be exaggerating with 1,000,000 chairs, but the Panama Sunrise, man, onto a shit ton of chairs from the fucking second rope, mind you. That was a killer finish. And there was no way Velveteen Dream or most human beings on Earth is going to get up from that. And Velveteen did not. Adam Cole wins the match, subsequently retaining his NXT championship. A lot of people thought he would lose that, and his contract is expiring. He's going to go to AEW. But I broke the news to you guys, man, that he is nearly 99.99% signing back with NXT. They may bring him to the main roster, but I'm hearing he's staying with NXT, and him keeping that championship last night shows you that that's probably the case. As of now, he probably already re-signed. We don't know. But he is not expected to go to AEW with his main squeeze, Britt Baker. No, Adam Cole is staying with NXT, or at least that's what we're hearing. And again, Velveteen Dream, he's got a lot of personal issues going on himself. I didn't think that they were going to give him the title. Unfortunately, I love Velveteen Dream. You guys know that, but I think right now they look at him as more of a liability than a reliability. There was no way they could put their heavyweight championship on him. So, I mean, you can argue about what's right and wrong, who should have won and not, but Adam Cole winning, I don't see how there's any issue with that. I think given the circumstances, that's exactly what should be happening right now. Adam Cole, and that was not the main event, again, because Charlotte Flair is on the card, so she's got to be the main event. But, I liked it. Man, did that deliver. And it was unique, you know, after seeing just a really good match in Gargano and Keith Lee, to know you still got Karion, Kross, and Tomasso Ciampa coming up. I thought that was a good, it was authentic. Even though we've been seeing a lot of these weird cinematic matches and matches done outside of the arenas, it had a different feel to it. It was definitely fun. So, awesome, what I thought would have been the main event. Awesome match for that championship, man. And again, I'm just high on Velveteen Dream anyway, and I really like Adam Cole, so. Yep, definitely delivered. What was up next? Again, these are one of these little minor nuggets that a lot of people looked over. Todd Pettengill. Again, he is the old host for WWE back in the day, especially In Your House. And he was plugging some merchandise up next in a funny segment with DX, Triple H, Michaels, and Road Dogg, like they're trying to figure out how to work a computer. So just to see Todd Pettengill again, man, again, he was the host of In Your House. You can't have In Your House without Todd Pettengill. I just loved it. The set, the Alfred Hayes throwback, the original host of In Your House 25 years ago, Todd Pettengill, NXT, Triple H, did such a great job to make this feel like In Your House. All the little details were on point. And when you do that, you're going to have a successful show. I just can't say enough about all those little nuggets, man. All those little details that were so major to the Amplified, man. Match number 5 spot belonged to Karion Kross with Scarlett Bordeaux taking on Tomasso Ciampa. A star was born at In Your House. And his name is Karion Kross. Now, a lot of us already knew he was a star. But as far as NXT goes, everybody now knows we have a new beast on our hands. And his name is Karion Kross. If you didn't think he was a star before he got the NXT, you damn well know that's how he's being booked now. This is no joke. This actually happened. Tomasso Ciampa was defeated in under 7 minutes by Kross. Ciampa passed out to Kross's choke so easily. Ciampa had moments of badassery, but Kross basically shook it off and laughed at him. Basically. I mean, Tomasso had moments of vicious offense, but Karion Kross just shook it off like nothing. In under 7 minutes, he gets that jacket choke on him. And Ciampa passed out. Ciampa! I mean, if that's not like mind-boggling, man, I never would have thought I would ever see Tomasso Ciampa lose a match in under 7 minutes. And you're telling me a star wasn't born, man. You're telling me they don't think the world of Karion Kross. Wow. I was shocked. I really was, man. Not at how good Karion is, obviously. But that they had Tomasso lose this thing in under 7. I mean, I know I sound like a broken record. I mean, as I'm talking to you guys about it, I'm just reliving it, and I'm just in awe. Like, wow, they're putting stock in this motherfucker. I don't know where Tomasso goes from here. I mean, he had that whole thing with Johnny Gargano, and that's over. And then he had the under 7 minute loss to Karion. Now, I don't know what happens to Tomasso. Tomasso has already stated he doesn't want to go to the main roster. You know, with the mileage that is on his body, the injuries that he's had. I don't want to use the word comfortable with Tomasso because he deserves more respect than saying he's comfortable with where he's at, because he's such a hard worker. But he is. He's comfortable where he's at with NXT. That doesn't mean he half-asses it at all, ever. But he's comfortable there. And he doesn't want to do the travel schedule. He doesn't want to put the extra mileage on his body if he doesn't need to. So if Tomasso is staying in NXT, what do you do with him next? Man, it makes you think. I don't know. You know, it's big. It's big for Karion Kross the way he won, and it's also big the way Tomasso lost, because you just don't know how you bounce back from that. Huge for Karion Kross. Match number 6 was the main event of the night. We should have known that it wouldn't be the NXT heavyweight title or the North American title. Of course not. Neither of those involved the Charlotte Flair, so it couldn't have been the main event. The main event instead is that triple threat women's championship match. Champion Charlotte Flair taking on challenger Io Shirai, taking on challenger Rhea Ripley. Official match time came just under 20-minute mark. So I enjoyed this triple threat title match more than Charlotte's WrestleMania triple threat with Becky and Ronda Rousey. I will say that. So this one at least was much more entertaining. You know, maybe it's because I am so high on Io Shirai. Rhea's taking brutal kendo stick shots like a champ. Io Shirai is flying through the front window of the house. Picture that. Later in the match, she's actually flying off the roof of the house. Picture that. Io Shirai was flying all over this motherfucker. In fact, the finish saw Rhea locked into Charlotte's figure 8 leg lock. And while Rhea is flat on her back trying to get out of the figure 8, Io Shirai is up on the top rope and delivers a moonsault to Rhea Ripley while she's in the figure 8. So I thought that was a cool spot. Unfortunately, Io missed her just a tad or a lot, and Io actually landed on Rhea's dome piece. I thought Rhea was knocked out. Whether that was the planned finish or not, I knew Rhea was not going to kick out. I mean, she had to have been thrown for a loop for a moment. So she gets moonsaulted to her dome piece, and then Io covers Rhea. 1, 2, 3. Io Shirai becomes the new NXT Women's Champion, man. And I could not be more proud, more happy, more thrilled for Io, because like I started this whole review off in that whole cold open, I told you guys that when you follow somebody like Io's journey and it culminates in that type of a moment, it takes you to another level as a fan, as a employee of hers, a peer, a friend, a family member. If you know how much work went into it, when you see it all pay off, it just brings you to a whole nother level of emotion. And I was just in awe last night. Not that I didn't think she could do it, but that they actually gave her the chance. Let's put a rocket on her back and let the world see exactly who Io Shirai is and what she is capable of. Because I assure you, nobody will be disappointed. She's that fucking good. You know, I think she didn't want to land, she knew she had to avoid Charlotte. You know, the whole point is to hit Rhea. So I think she kind of consciously made an effort to go much more to her left, which was camera right, and that's unfortunately Rhea's head. So I don't think she was trying to go that far left, but she didn't want to go toward Charlotte, toward the legs. I don't know. That's because you're talking about a consummate professional here. Io is pretty damn good with her moonsaults. Unlike someone else, a golden child, Io usually hits hers pretty damn good. I remember her hitting it fucking perfectly from the top of a cage one time. So she's damn good at that moonsault. So I'm sure that was no negligence, I assure you. And we hope Rhea Ripley is okay. But what a monumental. There's no way to sugarcoat this. There's no way to dilute this or, and we're certainly not over dramatizing it. Or exaggerating this victory at all. This is a monumental victory, man, and it says so much about the women's division in NXT and really women's wrestling. When you see somebody like Io Shirai hold up a championship, it sets the bar high. That's what we need more of in pro wrestling. What a time to be Japanese female talent, man. You got fucking Sheet over there in AEW. You got Asuka over on the main roster. You got Io Shirai. They're all hoisting up championships. It's so cool. A lot of people think that they just copied what AEW did when they threw the title over on Shida, and now all of a sudden Io's getting a championship. If you guys remember, when Asuka was basically in obscurity, they threw the championship over to, I believe, the first ever AEW women's champion was Rio. And then days later, they gave a championship over to Asuka. I believe that was the tag straps. And we were like, whoa, Asuka was given nothing for all this time. All of a sudden, she's holding a championship 4 days after Rio won hers. So a lot of people think that they're doing it again, right? Shida just got a championship, and now they're finally giving Io her time. Whatever. It could be. It very well could be. But the bottom line is Io still deserves it. So it's not like they're just taking Japanese talent and they're like, hey, we need you to hold this belt. Asuka more than deserved the championship. And in this situation, Io more than deserves it. So if AEW helped nudge them in the right direction, meaning the suits and ties for WWE, if they made the suits and ties at WWE headquarters look over at them and go, we need to do that, good, because it was deserved. Talent like Asuka, talent like Io, they should be holding championships for a long period of time. I say that about Sasha Banks all the time. We need to stop having mediocre talent holding championships multiple times. At some point, we have to give title belts, straps, championships, whatever you want to call them. We have to start giving them to the best actual talent. Because they can put on those epic classic matches, man. Now, yes, we want them to have some charisma, some personality behind them. If you don't think Io has that, you ain't watched Io for long enough. They don't have to speak perfect English. I mean, you can do so much with these individuals, man. Io Shirai is a master of all trades. Give her a real chance. All right, that's my ending here. That's my big finish. Give Io a chance, because you guys are going to see something epic out of her. Whether she stays on NXT for a long time or she ends up getting called up or down, whichever promotion, demotion. Wherever Io lands, she is going to capture your attention, man. She will captivate you. That's it. Can you tell I'm proud of her, man? And I'm so happy for that moment. So NXT in your house. Damn good. Good event. Fun event. Just fun, right? Right from the top, throughout it, and right to the finish. Just that in-your-house nostalgic feel. And I think that's what it was supposed to be. This wasn't supposed to be one of these NXT takeovers that you're completely captivated from top to finish. You know what I mean? It's just stealing the attention of the wrestling world. I don't think it was supposed to be that. With what we're in right now in the world with this Wabaka. I think they just wanted to do something fun. Still a night of awesome competition, and great wrestling, but in a fun way. And I think by giving it the In Your House moniker, man, I thought that was awesome. And they delivered. They did everything correctly. And we saw an awesome night of wrestling too. Maybe not awesome, but we saw a really good night of wrestling. So there's no way that, going back, I would say, no, I'm taking my 2.5 hours and I'm doing something different. I don't want to spend 2.5 hours on that. No, absolutely not. If I had to do over again, I would have done the exact same. I would have watched that, absolutely, and I would have had fun watching it, just like I did the first time. So, kudos to everybody, man, over there in NXT, especially Triple H. You put together a really good show, man, at a time where we really needed that as pro wrestling fans, you know? Please, talk to Vince a little bit more, right? Let's get more out of Vince. But NXT, I didn't have any reservation at all that they wouldn't deliver. So fucking proud of all of them, man. Good pay-per-view, absolutely. And we'll see what Raw holds tonight, man. As we already know, Asuka and Charlotte is going to be going at it tonight. This is a non-title match, but if Charlotte wins, don't be at all surprised if it's Charlotte and Asuka towards SummerSlam and Charlotte wins the championship. Trust me, it's coming. It's fucking coming. I gotta go get a giant-sized coffee now. 2 of them, actually. And whoop this Monday's ass. Hopefully you guys do the same thing. And I will talk to you in the morning for the Raw review and reaction. For now, think, be, live, amplified. Always.